Hi guys, so I am here to do my July wrap-up. This month I believe I read 17 books, which is, it's really good, especially because in order to keep with my reading goal for the summer, I just had to read 15 books this month, so I actually bettered that, which is awesome because it means as long as I read 13 books in August, I am going to hit my 50 book summer challenge, and I'm so excited. I'm actually only one book away from hitting my overall annual challenge on Goodreads, which was 100 books, and I'm currently at 99, so that's like really exciting. The first book that I read this month was actually on my Nook, and that was Just One Day by Gail Forman. This is the first book in her duology. Finally decided to read it. I really enjoyed it. I don't know, I guess I didn't expect to. I had tried to read it a couple of times and it just wasn't really happening for me. I couldn't really get into the story, and this time around I inhaled it. I loved it so much. I gave it 4 stars. I am interested to see what happens in just 1 year. The next book that I read this month was It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han, immediately followed by We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, book 2 and 3 in the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. I have to say, overall, I really enjoyed the series. I feel like when I finished We'll Always Have Summer, I had to give myself time to decide what I wanted to rate the book, just because I have come to find over the years I'm not super excited to read things that have love triangles in it, and this has such a ridiculously massive love triangle. Like, that's basically one of the biggest plot points in the book, that I had to really process how the series ended and decide if I was happy with it and if I liked the way it went. And overall, I really did. I was happy with the progression of the characters. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I want to say I gave the last book 4.5 stars and the other book maybe 5 stars. Next, I did the rest of the Georgia Nicholson series. So Away Laughing on a Fast Camel, Then He Ate My Boy Entrancers, Startled by His Furry Shorts, Lurve is a Many-Trousered Thing, Stop in the Name of Pants, and Are These My Bazumas I See Before Me. I really loved this series. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't read it when I was growing up, because it's so good, it's so funny. I laughed out loud a lot. I remembered how I was at that age and I could relate to that. Like the silliness about everything that a guy does and overthinking things and being frustrated with your friends and not really saying it to them, just like in your mind being like, ugh, you know, and it was really enjoyable to read. Across the whole series, which was 10 books, I fluctuated between giving it, I think the lowest rating I gave it was 3.5 stars and the highest rating I gave was 5 stars. Next, I read Something Like Fate by Susan Colasanti. I read this on my Nook and I don't really know what to say about it. It is about a love triangle involving a girl and her best friend and her best friend's boyfriend, and I really did not enjoy this book. The main character, I felt, kept justifying what she was doing, and that was kind of annoying to me, and it wasn't for me. I gave it 2 stars. The next book I read was Be With Me by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It is a new adult book. I really enjoyed the first book that she came out with, but I was excited to read this because it was another character in that world getting their own story. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed seeing the progression of the relationship of the first couple from the series, and I liked that it addressed things that took place in the first book, and you kind of saw the fallout of what happened from that first book. So I really enjoyed that. I gave this book 4 stars. Next, I read Persepolis 1 and 2, and I'll take them out. So Persepolis is a graphic novel series. It's a duology, and it's basically a memoir is what it actually is. And book 1 is Persepolis 1 is the story of a childhood, And Persepolis 2 is the story of a return. This amazing series is written by Marjane Satrapi. Persepolis is the story of an Iranian girl who's living with her family in Iran in the beginning of the big controversy that happened in the late 70s and 80s. It is not a light read. I learned so much about this conflict and this culture that I never ever knew. And it was very, very interesting to me. I really genuinely loved this. I want to say I gave it 4 to 5 stars for both of them. Next is Just Your Average Princess by Christina Springer. This book was terrible. I feel bad saying that, but honestly, it's so tiny and I really struggled to get through it just because the story didn't really have any meat, I guess you could say. It was very predictable, which I kind of expected it to be, but I like fluffy contemporaries and I thought this was going to be a better fluffy contemporary. I feel like the author didn't really try to make the story that great. So bad, but that's kind of how I felt. It had elements of slut shaming, which was really bothersome to me to read. I want to say I gave this 1 or 2 stars. I also listened to full cast version of A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket, and this was so good. I can't even begin to say how great it was to listen to that. It has Tim Curry, who plays, I guess, Lemony Snicket, and it was so interesting and so well done, and the parts were not just read, they were kind of like acted. There was an orchestra in the back doing sound effects. It was so enjoyable. It was about, I think it was less than 3 hours, so it was really fast and easy to get through. It was really fun. I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I liked the movie because I wasn't such a huge fan of the movie. Overall, really loved this. I want to say I gave this 4 stars. I also read Through the Woods, Stories by Emily Carroll. This book I purchased with one of my birthday gift cards, and it was kind of a whim purchase. Like, I just saw it in the store and I was like, wow, what is this? And I thought it was going to be a little different than what it was. The book is 5 mysterious, spine-tingling stories, and that was intriguing to me. And I opened it, and the illustrations in this book are absolutely amazing. So that's one of the illustrations in the book. It's beautiful and disturbing at the same time. I don't know how much sense that makes, but the stories are not necessarily outright horror stories. They're more subtle horror stories. They're very good. I gave this 5 stars. I love it. I'm actually gonna keep an eye out for everything else that this author has done because that's how much I enjoyed it. And lastly, the pièce de résistance of my month of reading was Landline by Rainbow Rowell. I don't even know where to begin with this book. I felt like there was aspects of it that I did not absolutely love or necessarily could wrap my brain around, like the whole aspect of the phone. I guess let me step back and just give a synopsis. So this is a story about a husband and wife whose marriage isn't necessarily going so well. They've been together for quite a few years. They have 2 children, and when the wife is unable to go on a family trip because of work, her husband leaves upset. And during the course of that trip, she discovers an old landline that links her to an old version of her husband, the version of her husband before they were married. That being said, the premise is really interesting. I kind of felt a little bit of a disconnect when it came to the actual landline. That is never really explained. Like, the mythology behind that is never really explained, and there is a hypothesis or a theory thrown out as to what that does in, you know, the space-time continuum a la Back to the Future. You don't ever find out if that's actually the case. So that is the only thing that bothered me about the book. The rest of the book I was obsessed with. I just really love Rainbow Rowell. I feel like this woman can do no wrong in my eyes, and I would really hope and pray that she continues to write forever and ever and ever because I love her stuff so much. I gave this book 5 stars. So that's it. This month was a 17 book month. It was better than expected, but not as good as I would have wanted. Let me know if any of you have read Landline or if you've read Through the Woods. I would love to know what your thoughts are about Through the Woods. And I would really, really love to be able to talk to somebody about Persepolis, because I really know many people who have read it, and I would like to hear somebody else's take on it. So let me know down below in the comments what you thought about it. And that's it. Bye!